Oi pessoas, sejam muito bem-vindos a mais um vídeo aqui no canal Nerd. Estou de volta com vocês para mais um vídeo. Dessa vez a gente vai começar no tribunal. Vai ter o julgamento, sim, vai ter a minha câmera. Agora na intro que não tem, porque eu tô gravando essa intro depois que eu já gravei o vídeo. Espero que vocês gostem. Não esquece de já sentar o dedo no like, compartilhar esse vídeo, dar uma olhada lá no Discord do canal e na twitch.tv/eunerdsair, etc. Roda o vídeo. Bora esperar o dia do julgamento então. Isso é um ponto de observação? Por que ele não tá aparecendo pra mim? Oraquina de análise cardinal. Ah, essa é a máquina. Oh, tá tudo limpo.
What do we do? The whole situation is so confusing.
Eu tenho algumas ideias, mas vamos dar um passo de cada vez.
Good plan. Impossible things don't just happen. We'll get to the truth one way or another.
Eu tenho certeza de que...
Just relax. Even if
Halsey?
everyone else suspects Lyney and Lynette, at least we will be supporting them from the stands. Besides, I doubt Furina understands any more about what happened than we do.
Thanks, Navia. Well, we'll be going then.
Best of luck to you.
Nossa, a gente já vai entrar assim do nada, no meio do julgamento, assim.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Well now, don't you all look disappointed? Don't tell me that your investigation came up empty-handed. That was to be expected, of course. The guilt...
Oh. A gente tinha mais do que investigar? Três itens que não foram investigados?
He can never produce proof of their innocence.
Como assim?
But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated foe, concede so easily.
Me aguarde.
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session. Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Lyney explain the trick?
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items have been prepared.
Lyney claramente revela os detalhes do truque de mágica, todos na plateia
Thank you,
ficam
Mr. Lyney.
estarrecidos.
In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and thus could not have committed the crime. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Furina, do you wish to refute his statement in any way?
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Lyney is clearly lying.
Ela é advogada de acusação, ela é promotoria pública.
There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact, I'd say you were hardly in that tunnel at all.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that might leave an impression of any kind?
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe practically everyone heard it.
Huh?
Hey, hang on. Something's not right here.
Como Lyney não pode saber sobre aquele som?
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box and I definitely heard the thud.
Oh?
Look at those scales. Could those mean...
Elas provavelmente representam o posicionamento da Oraquina no julgamento.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never know what can happen in the blink of an eye. Indeed, it seems his alibi can also collapse in the blink of an eye. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are rock solid. Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
Casa da Lareira?
The House of the Hearth?
Eles são fatui? What the heck?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
Não, é muito fácil acusar logo
I've
de
got a
cara.
feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an accident.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script already has holes in it. The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord, I suppose. This was almost too easy.
Ela não sabe de nada,
Good
inocente.
thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really paying off.
Ela passou a noite acordada só pra poder derrubar a gente.
Hey, Lyney, why didn't you tell us this before?
Lyney e Lynette são fatui.
Order,
Mas a gente é
order.
amigo de um fatui,
Mr.
dois
Lyney,
fatui.
allow me to
Um
reestablish
ex-fatui
the
e um
facts.
fatui atual.
Lady Furina has raised 2 points. First, when the thud was heard in the opera house, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth. Are these claims true?
Não há dúvidas quanto à habilidade de um mágico em enganar os outros, considerando como Lyney escondeu sua identidade. Tudo isso pode muito bem ter sido montado antes. Além disso, Child está aqui em Fontaine junto com os outros membros da casa. Deve existir algum plano acontecendo por aqui. Já fui vítima de um desses planos antes e agora...
Please answer my question, Mr. Lyney.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
Ah?
I knew
Como
it!
assim?
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
What should we do now?
Permissão para falar, Vossa
Granted.
Excelência. Meu cliente omitiu algumas informações
In that
importantes.
case, what is your request?
Eu gostaria de uma pequena pausa. Existem algumas coisas que precisam ser discutidas. Obrigada,
Really
Traveler.
necessary? They're already as good as guilty.
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is there left to discuss?
Order! Order! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial
Obrigada.
will reconvene in 1
Neuvi.
hour.
Vou chamar de Neuvi, é muito longo o seu nome.
So you would stick to Mr. Lyney's defense even after knowing what you do now? You certainly have more professionalism than I thought. In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of victory to steep for a
Eu
little
adorei
while
o
longer.
vestido dela, cara. Eu quero igual. Enquanto o tribunal está em recesso, você se encontra com Lyney e Lynette nos bastidores da ópera Epiclese. Oh, a gente não entrou aqui antes.
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydroarchon would dig all that up. I'm sorry, Traveler and Paimon.
Yeah, sorry.
Paimon doesn't know where to start. We trusted you two.
Ah, tá, ele só omitiu um fato, ele não mentiu pra gente.
We based our entire reasoning
Tartaglia
on
de
the
boa.
assumption that you weren't bad guys. Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad.
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry, and reasonably so, but please, let me explain. I know you've clashed with the Vatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing the word is enough to make you upset.
Ah, a gente é amigo do Tartaglia, a gente deu de cara na cidade, a gente tá com a visão do Tartaglia na mão.
But our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different personalities and goals.
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide some details instead. The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to.
Mas como sabemos que isso não é só outra mentira?
So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, I fear that I'd even struggle to trust me at this point. You met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. All by coincidence, too. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no criminal. At least, not in this case.
Eu não tenho nada contra o Lyney. Ele não fez nada de errado comigo. O Tartaglia fez, a gente não perdoou ele, né? Mas tudo bem. Ai, que situação.
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but...
Aonde você foi enquanto o truque estava acontecendo?
Right. Let's hear your answer first, and no lies now.
Of course. I'll answer any question you ask. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences accurately? During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick with the objective of getting close to the core.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which the core is stored.
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
O que você encontrou?
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, I heard someone's voice. Which should have been impossible, of course. I was quite certain that I was the only one in the room. That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated the way I came. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to give it any thought. After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Mas por que você quer entender como a Oraquina funciona?
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized crisis.
That's the
Faz
only way
sentido.
we can save everyone.
Vai que é essa máquina que tá comprometendo os princípios celestiais lá, que eles estão vigiados por Celestia.
So, there you have it. The whole truth.
Kenria era
I swear, I didn't
tecnológica.
hide anything from you this time. It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust either. But like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust the Fatui, there's nothing I can do to stop you.
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Eu não vou abandonar, acredito nos fatos. Nada indica que tenha sido ele. Te defenderei dessas acusações.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against you two.
Concordo.
If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a seriously watertight defense.
Nós, na verdade, nós já temos as evidências-chave que precisamos. O adiamento já está quase no fim, vamos voltar.
Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you mean.
Depoimento do Lyney. Ele não estava no lugar. A voz na câmera do núcleo da Oraquina. Que voz é essa? Que reconheceu ele. Bora continuar no julgamento. Eu tô muito feliz com essa missão, cara. É muito bom. O breve recesso termina e o julgamento fervoroso continua.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial.
Vou botar a Furina no chão. Batendo no tapete.
When last we left off, Mr. Lyney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Furina as fact. Therefore, Lady Furina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
That took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Lyney's perspective.
Baseado nos relatos das testemunhas, você pode encontrar partes de suas declarações que não têm fundamento. Use as evidências e pistas obtidas durante a investigação para refutar qualquer série de eventos que não fazem sentido e substitua elas com novas inferências. Use suas refutações para convencer o público e obter mais apoio das pessoas. A Oráquina vai exibir essas mudanças claramente. Quando você encontrar e refutar todos os conteúdos incorretos, poderá completar o ciclo da refutação e revelar a verdade. Eu sabia! Primeiro...
As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel.
Cálculo em sumero e agora direito, um julgamento, uma defesa em Fontaine.
When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that the sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her. At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Lyney red-handed. So Lyney proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that box. Afterward, Lyney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that Cowell's death would be ruled an accident.
Aí, bom trabalho da dubladora da Furina, tá? Dramático. Ai, adorei. Muito bom.
And there you have it. That's the truth behind what happened.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Furina's description?
The key to refuting Lady Furina is the order of events. What Lyney experienced and what he saw.
Ok. Lyney entrou no túnel. Procurar contradição. Procurar contradição. O Lyney não estava.
He left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey.
Sim. Lyney sequestrou Halsey. Tá. Ninguém saiu da ópera Epiclese. Não.
Lyney went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth.
Ok.
Lyney did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Sim, sim.
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to
Vai
say!
falar sério?
When the countdown started, Lyney did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is stored. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since he felt something was amiss, he returned immediately. The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to complete the magic trick, he did not remain there for any length of time. Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Therefore, he's innocent.
Ok. Refutado com sucesso. Ah, gostei. Legal. Isso é muito bom. Queria que fosse assim na vida real.
Paimon actually managed to say all that. Oh, wasn't it awesome?
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
Sim.
That's right.
Além disso, acredito que o raciocínio de minha oposição é falho. Oh, tá.
My reasoning?
O equipamento no palco foi modificado de maneira premeditada. Contudo, você diz que Cowell esbarrou em Lyney por acaso.
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Lyney only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
É, concordo.
That's right, you tell him!
Não teria
That's
motivo.
why they're partners of mine. They've managed to turn things around. Oh, well, your denial is very strident. I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your claims?
Você se lembra como você refutou o álibi de Lyney inicialmente?
Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound? Why do you ask? You're saying that he wasn't?
Sua alegação agora se tornou minha arma. Escolher a evidência, mas... Qual é a prova de que Lyney não estava no túnel quando o crime aconteceu? O som estranho durante o show de mágica.
That's right! Lyney wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance.
Caraca!
This means that when the crime happened, Lyney had already entered the basement via the vent. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played. To think you'd use such logic.
Eu adoro que ela tem uma personalidade
If it
interna.
wasn't Lyney who committed the crimes, then who was it?
O assassino foi... Seleciona o ícone de engrenagens. Tá. Tem que fazer uma corrente de dedução. De acordo com as descobertas da investigação, os garras, os fogos de artifício que foram disparados pouco antes do fim da apresentação incendiaram as cordas que seguravam o tanque de água, fazendo com que ele caísse e resultasse na morte de Cowell na caixa abaixo. Se Lyney não é mais um suspeito, somente os outros membros da trupe poderiam ter mexido nos adereços. Lyney deu um relato detalhado de como o truque deveria funcionar, usando uma caixa dentro de outra caixa. A ideia era que a caixa que continha o membro da plateia fosse transportada através de um túnel subterrâneo, e Lyney também usaria esse túnel para chegar ao outro lado. Tendo trocado suas roupas, Lynette e seu assistente tomariam a responsabilidade pelas interações no palco. O casaco pertencente a Halsey, a mulher que desapareceu, foi encontrado no túnel. A razão para isso ainda é desconhecida. Selecione qualquer pista.
Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or did she have her own scheme all along?
Eu acho que é a Halsey. Oh.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. Could there have been a third person involved? Is that really a possibility? The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant.
O Cowell?
Huh? That can't be right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowell, the deceased!
Oh, is that so? How interesting! Let's hear your reasoning then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell
Como?
did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim.
Ele queria matar o Lyney. Huh.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant.
O Cowell?
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So, where would the criminal have wanted to take... Halsey's
Desculpa ter
clothing was
cortado.
in the tunnel. So, there must have been some fear that she would attract attention. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lyney as well. Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time.
Huh.
The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Hal...
Como que eu vou fazer isso?
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So, where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey? It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lyney as well. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel.
Miserável. Eu não acertei uma, sério?
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that
Eles estão
vent.
diminuindo as
They would
opções.
likely have bumped into Lyney as well. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lyney as well. No one entered or left the
Tá, acertei mais uma.
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lyney as well.
Eu não tenho a mínima chance. O criminoso deve ter entendido o truque por trás da mágica de Lyney e devia estar em uma posição para modificar facilmente o equipamento. Deixando de lado como ele morreu, Cowell tinha todos os meios para cometer o crime ao dispor dele. O barulho estranho poderia provavelmente ter sido o som de Cowell e Halsey brigando. Lyney não estava no túnel por um minuto. Isso teria dado tempo para Cowell trazer Halsey para fora da caixa mágica na área da plateia. Mas segundo o testemunho dos garras, ninguém entrou ou saiu da casa de ópera. Então mesmo que ele tivesse a levado, não haveria meio de sair. Sair da caixa teria sido em plena vista da plateia, basicamente garantindo que eles seriam descobertos. Onde será que Halsey se meteu?
I see how it is. So this was all just a bluff. And here I thought you had something to show for it. But it seems you're still far.
Eu não consigo entender onde ela se meteu, esse é o problema.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial design.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
Fugir do tanque de água. Espera, será que foi a água?
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin in this opera house than an awkward delay in the...
If the defense is unable to make further effective
Desculpa ter
arguments,
cortado,
we will
mas eu
move
tô...
on to the next stage of the trial.
A água? Objeção.
Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water.
Oh! Uau! Eu não ia ter nunca chegado nisso.
It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound at the moment. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick.
Eu solicito examinar os itens pessoais de Cowell. Podemos encontrar algo lá.
Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Lyney already knows this truth very well. Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about two completely different things.
Even so, I trust the traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps a new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do
Eu
come
tô
up with
muito
all sorts of
confusa.
harebrained schemes when at the end of the rope. The way I see it, your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is nothing but a tactic for stalling the trial.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress.
Não vi. Eu gostei desse personagem demais.
Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased, Cowell.
Após algum tempo, guard retorna com notícias.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately.
Oh?
The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are water from the primordial sea.
The primordial sea?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice.
Oh.
The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
You've gotta be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. If people can become...
Oh, wow.
Does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order!
Gostei.
It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results, but we cannot yet verify the veracity of these clues. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Lyney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe
Senhor
that many
juiz.
of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Eu quero muito o Neuvi.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.
Água do mar primordial. Selecione qualquer pista para ver as informações detalhadas.
The rope that strung the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and cut. As such, the focus here is on the water and not the tank.
Oh.
The deceased's name is Cowell. Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was instead some form of triggering mechanism. The water from the primordial sea should already have been prepped before Halsey entered the magic box. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. Did she have something to do with this? I remember there was something else within the inner layer of that box.
Oh, a corda cortada aqui não é.
The deceased's name is Cowl.
Ah. Tá.
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again! In the original plan, Cowl would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box.
Oh.
When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowl would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel, and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Huh, that does make sense.
Ok, tá levando pra rumo que eu tô perdida já.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person? What a humiliation.
Tadinha.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case, and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Lyney's personal effects.
What?
What?
That can't be. Oh, I see. Well, how wonderfully comedic to have your own counterattack only to come back and wound you. Does this not clear all doubt? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to a swift close.
Por isso que eu não sirvo pra ser advogada.
Lyney did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent. Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowl then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial sea. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Lyney desired sole credit and prepared to do away with his partner in crime. Ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite the cold-blooded and ruthless organization. Am I right,
Dear Lord,
Mr. Lyney?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. There's no way for us to make a rebuttal here. Is this the end of the road?
Oh no! Paimon can't think of anything either. It doesn't look like there's any way around this. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move. Why did this have to happen now?
I think we've all seen enough now.
Deu ruim.
And we have ample witnesses to my flawless
Deu
reasoning.
muito ruim.
I believe this is indeed the finale. Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice, should we not, in your view, move... Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see a little magic? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. Please, do the honors, Mr. Lyney.
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Lyney and Lynette. Give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula has made the necessary arrangements on your behalf. But as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
A menina ainda tava dentro da caixa?
And voila!
Oxi.
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after all?
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cowl. I admit it.
Sabia que foi ela. Eu disse que foi a Halsey.
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Lyney's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there.
É a ladra.
And I'd never been caught before. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Lyney was the one who caught me in the act.
Eu sou um gênio. Eu tô na cabeça dos criadores.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar.
Tadá! Tô me sentindo muito inteligente.
Lyney even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was on to me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nap me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes.
Ah, por isso que ela não se dissolveu, ela é de Mondstadt.
I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
Se tiverem prática em se esconder, provavelmente.
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now.
Sim, é hora de refutar o raciocínio anterior da Arconte Hydro.
This time,
Eu adivinhei.
you need to tell the entire story from Lillian's perspective.
Eu tô me sentindo muito top agora. Lyney entrou no túnel. Cowell usou um mecanismo mágico preparado anteriormente. Tá.
The flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but was smashed during the struggle between Lillian and Cowl.
Ok. Houve um estrondo forte. Não. Ela
Lillian
trocou
was
de
afraid
roupa.
that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding her time. Just
É, tá, ela é uma ladra experiente.
The strange sound wasn't from a fight. It was Lily Ann's attempt to break out when she was frightened.
Oh.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon time! Selected out of the blue, Lily Ann panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud we all heard. Hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lily Ann had not dissolved.
Oh.
He did not know that Lily Ann was not from Fontaine, but was a thief who made her way in by stealing a ticket. Mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect, he tried to force Lily Ann back into the box.
Gostei demais dessa missão.
Broke the flower vase during the struggle,
tava
but Lily Ann came out on top, knocking Cowell out and putting him in the box. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk until the performance ended.
Oh yeah. Refutado com sucesso.
She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, she has been trapped in the Opera House these last 2 days.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses. Talk about a sneaky thief.
Sabia.
At this point, all the events that happened in the tunnel have now come to light.
Ah, so that's the whole story. Bravo!
Now then, Lady Furina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Furina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
Eu adoro Lynette.
What? Are you reading my mind now? No, I have no further arguments. I admit defeat. But really, could you at least have left me with some dignity?
Look at that! She's like a deflated balloon now.
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once again repeat the full sequence of events. The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen. To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after the young woman was dissolved. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water.
A voz desse dublador é muito boa.
If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lily Ann was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lily Ann. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own final victim. Lily Ann, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Lyney, he was in the underground structures within the opera house, and was thus ignorant of these happenings. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Lyney, the accused, is in fact innocent.
Acabou.
While there is much in Lyney and Lily Ann's conduct that should still be investigated separately, This case, at least, can be handed over to the oratrice to make the final decision.
Ai, ai. Então, vocês estavam fazendo sacanagem aí. Agora o processo é outro. O que você estava fazendo lá?
As such, Lyney and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Não vamos comemorar
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Lyney's baggage?
Oh.
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know. Or was that not a discovery, but false evidence that you dared to bring before this court?
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Lyney, but you, yes?
Ih, se lascou.
I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
Oh, wow.
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Lyney, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best opportunity to do so.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to said higher-ups, yes? Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know, and seek the protection of the guards.
Yes, I'll tell you everything I know.
Tá
Our
morto.
boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve. It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable exhilaration.
Oh.
We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent mora off it. The disappearances were also the boss's idea. I mean, this is the boss we're talking about. The...
Dissolveu em água. Ele virou água.
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness. I shouldn't have expected any less of them.
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
Deu ruim. No entanto, nada é encontrado na cena além do líquido deixado para trás depois que Valgren se dissolveu. Quem são eles?
So, we're just going back now?
Os Fatui agora virou... Como é que fala? Bode expiatório. Não somos mais necessárias aqui.
That's true, but...
Traveler, Paimon, please wait.
Esse vídeo está muito longo.
Lyney...
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look at me. But still, let me thank you again for defending me to the end. Even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui.
Eu só não queria ver ninguém acusado falsamente.
I guess. But regardless, I'd like the opportunity to set things straight.
Não ignora o Lyney. Eu não tenho raiva de Fatui. Eu tenho raiva de... 3 Fatuis. Não de todos eles.
I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself, just plain Lyney this entire time. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like me. That's all. That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then too.
Ah, é a Arlequina, não é?
The knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right.
É
And since we're
Arlequino.
here,
Arlequino,
I
sei
was
lá.
wondering, would you mind hearing a story? It's about my past. Back when my parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering the streets. To survive, I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. It took me several days to figure out how he pulled off his amazing tricks. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner, and we began to perform magic tricks there. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. But I didn't want my sister to remain a street rat together with me forever. Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performances.
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
That was how we felt at first, too. As if fate was on our side and we could say goodbye to those painful days. But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after my talent for magic tricks. He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circles.
Oh. That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than roaming the streets at any rate.
It took a while for me to realize just how dark his heart really was. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle as me. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. I went to that noble's bedroom and asked him about her whereabouts. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be able to perform your magic regardless of who your assistant is, yes?
Oh no. So he was gonna... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws deal with such people?
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law.
Uau, e o que aconteceu depois?
I managed to
Que
ferret out
terrível.
the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person and hurried through the night. But by the time I leaped over the walls, avoided the guards, and made my way in, all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood, and the knave standing there in the darkness.
So, she'd already taken care of that guy.
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement, all of them orphans.
Wow.
Father, I mean, the knave, might have seen something in me, and so she made me an offer. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. Indeed, betrayal shall never be permitted here. I was hesitant to trust her. I mean, I had just been betrayed by nobles, but she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our freedom.
Oh.
Uau.
So that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
A serva está atrás dos gnoses, não está?
She has her own plans. She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis' power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way to break the prophecy and save Fontaine.
So, she believes in that prophecy too?
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that crisis. Today's case has also proven that people from
Por isso
Fontaine can
Tartaglia tá
indeed
aí.
dissolve into some sort of water, thus further supporting the prophecy. All of us house members here, Lady Arlecchino herself included, are from Fontaine.
Ah,
we
ela é
won't
de
give up on
Fontaine.
defending our homeland.
Oh.
To us orphans, the only
Essa eu não
connection we
sabia.
have left to this world, apart from our family, is our homeland.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a Gnosis, everything is aimed at dealing with that prophecy.
Desculpe, mas eu não consigo confiar completamente em
It's
você.
all
Tudo
right.
bem.
I understand.
A gente sempre
The
fica com
only
o pé
thing I can
atrás.
do is relate all this to you. I just hope you can
Pelo menos
understand
agora a
that
gente
even as a
sabe.
member of the house, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that I believe what I'm doing is right. If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you, as plain Lyney.
Entendo, até depois. Agradece, filha da mãe. Ele foi muito educado. Sua vaca. Traveler, sua vaca. Que maldade. Bora sair da ópera Epiclese. O que nos espera? Eu preciso terminar a gravação e começar outra.
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving the serial disappearances case, though. Don't you think so, too?
Bem, perdão, Návia.
Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
eu só estava tentando defender Lyney.
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case that's been cold for decades now? And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a trail of breadcrumbs for the Hydro Archon's people to follow now, right?
Ah, I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to hear that from you. But I suppose you are just travelers who have only arrived in Fontaine after all.
Jura? Você é a primeira pessoa a pensar nisso.
Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Também acho.
Oh, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring forth, and the reflection in the murk to become clearer. Well, sorry about that. I'm a bit prone to nostalgia. Don't mind me. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to commemorate our time as partners?
Huh?
Tá.
Do we really need to get
Comida.
that formal? Well, guess you really did treat us as partners, huh?
Well,
Comida.
I'd just like to have a proper ending to every important memory. That way there are no regrets later. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
Vamos comer aquela refeição,
You
então.
don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navi is treating, count Paimon in!
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer? I believe we'll make it just in time for dinner.
All right, then. Let's have our farewell meal.
Ok. Prelúdio do Orvalho Branco e da Maré Escura. Espero que vocês tenham gostado desse vídeo, tá? Não esquece de dar uma olhada lá no Discord do canal, o link tá aqui na descrição do vídeo. Compartilhe esse vídeo com os seus amigos. Não esquece de dar uma olhada na twitch.tv/eunerdcontato, o link também tá aqui na descrição. Maluco, eu amei muito essa missão. A viajante foi uma vaca, desculpa, mas... Tipo assim, eles foram extremamente educados. Eles só omitiram fatos. A gente é amigo de um Fatui. A gente literalmente encontrou ele na rua 10 minutos antes da apresentação. Então, o que eu acho? Eu gostei. E eu tava certa. Mas não, eu tava certa que era Halsey, né? Não tava completamente certa. Mas no mais é isso. Eu vou ficando por aqui. Tô me sentindo muito inteligente. E até o próximo vídeo no canal Neste. Eu sei que é muito tapado da minha parte, mas... Fui. Até o próximo vídeo. Até mais.